So welcome to my new video. As the title says, it's what's in my iPhone. So as you can see here on my screen, it's mostly color organized. It's not accurate, but this is how I like to set it up. Before, I used to have it organized like this. I used to have it organized inside of a folder, so all the social media would go into one, entertainment would go into one, productivity would go into one, photography would go into one. But after seeing one of my friends who laid out their apps color basis, it only made sense for me to do it as well, because it was aesthetically pleasing and it was always good to look at. So that's why I did this. So to get started, let's jump into, FaceTime. So if you have an iPhone, you know what FaceTime is. Even if you don't have an iPhone, you would know this. But FaceTime is a video chatting app that comes in stock with your iPhone. Numbers is basically a spreadsheet app similar to Microsoft Office, but not as good. That comes also in stock with your iPhone. WeChat and WhatsApp, these two are messaging apps. I had to download this when I was in university because a lot of my friends use these two to communicate, and it was pretty good because you have the ability to create group and share your doc assessments or whatever you were doing via this. So if you're iPhone user and your friend is Android user and you can't send documents via Bluetooth, what you can do is, rather than going up to email, typing their email address and sending it to them, you can make a group inside here. You can easily share photos, videos, or even your assessments, whatever you want to. UniDays is basically a discount app. So if you're a university student, if you have a verified uni email address, you can use that to create an account and then get discount off things. For example, like here's 20% off Cotton On, 10% off DD. So I never used this, but I should have. This saves you a lot of money, so you need to have a verified university email address, so be clear of that, because you can only use that to get discounts. Normal email address, like personal email address, doesn't work. Bolt is an Uber alternative. It's kind of cheaper than Uber here in Australia. I don't know how it's in the other parts of the world, but here it's kind of cheaper. The Wallet app is a financial organizing kind of app. So if you have various banks account like me, like I have like 2 banks account, and if I want to keep track of what I spend, how much I spend, what I have to do is I have to log into bank account number 1, check, bank account number 2, check. But with this, you can link up all your bank accounts, and whatever you spend or whatever money you get into those bank accounts, it keeps track of it, and you can just use this app to view the activity in all of your accounts. Bitmoji, everyone knows this. Whoever's used Snapchat knows this. It's a cartoonized version of yourself. It's similar to what's in Animoji, or Animoji is similar to Bitmoji. 7-Eleven Fuel app, as the name says, it's a 7-Eleven app. So sometimes you have like half price on donuts or some food promotion going inside 7-Eleven. This gives you alerts and stuff. So whatever's on special in 7-Eleven, you can use this app to keep track of it. The next one is Presso Tea Australia. It's a chat time alternative here in Australia. They make teas and stuff. It's pretty good. So you can use this to get some percentage off. And same thing with UniDays. You need to have a valid university email address to get discounts off of this as well. Translator is a Microsoft app. The good thing about this app is that it supports voice as well. So if you say anything in English and want to have it translated to some other language, you can do it. You can just set English and then maybe Spanish in the other side, and then speak in English, and then you can have that translate to Spanish, and the speaker can bring it out loud so that the person can hear it and understand it, and vice versa. So it works like that. It's better. GoFundMe is a pretty popular app if you want to raise funds for some good cause. This is a pretty good app. Find My iPhone. It's if you have any iOS device linked with your Apple ID, you can use this to keep track of it, where it was last time, and you can lock the phone so that no one gets access to it if you happen to lose it. Groupon is a discount app. It always gives you notifications saying that you can save this much off of this thing. It's pretty good. Next is Google Maps. Google Maps is a pretty good navigation app. Compared to Apple Maps, it's pretty good. The next is Apple Maps. Well, Apple Maps used to be way worse than how it is now. It's improved quite a lot. It's still not as close to Google Maps, but it's right there. Before, it used to be crap. It always used to, if you relied on Apple Maps, you would be lost. And I have been lost. I've ended someplace completely different. So, but now it's kind of better. It's almost there with Google Maps. Coming to the next app, it's Excel. It's a spreadsheet app. The only reason why I have this on my phone is because when I was in university, sometimes I never wanted to carry my laptop because I always used to think that my bag is heavy because I also have a camera in it, my iPad in it. So I had this. So if I'm traveling and I'm on the train and I don't have access to my bag, what I used to do was I always used to have my phone in my hand. So if I have to send my Excel spreadsheet assessment to one of my friends or to the teacher via the email, so what I used to do was I used to open this up and then send it via email. It's pretty handy. The next is Starbucks Australia. So Starbucks, I am not a big Starbucks fan, but the only reason I have this is because it was close to my uni, and sometimes when I didn't have time, it was easy for me to just pop into Starbucks, get something, and use this app to get some points, like a stars, and then collect it. And then if I have enough stars, I can get some percentage off of my next purchase. Opal Travel, if you're in Sydney or Melbourne, you can... I don't think it works in Melbourne, but if you're in Sydney, you can use this to use the public transport. The Opal Travel app gives you the ability to see how much money you have on your Opal card. And you can also recharge your Opal card and top it up and to use for public transportation. Tempo is an app. I work as a business analyst, so Tempo gives me the ability to keep track of my time, to log times, and to submit. Snapseed is a photo editing app, and usually it's a pretty good app. It's right there with Lightroom. It's not as good, not as flexible. I don't prefer this, but sometimes to get some kind of filters, this is pretty helpful. Next, we come to the white segment of the what's on my iPhone. Reminders, I never use this app to go in, but what I do is I ask Siri to set a reminder for me, which then sets reminders inside this one. The only reason I don't use this, like go inside this app, is I don't want to go in and manually create reminders and type it in. I would just rather ask Siri to do it, which is pretty convenient, which has never been wrong. Like, it always gets me spot on. Next is the music app. I used to be a big Apple Music user, but it was before Spotify. I used to use Spotify, but then at that time I was an Android user. But when I moved to Apple, every time I was on the car, I would ask Siri to change the music, and then it would always think it's Apple Music. It doesn't support Spotify. So if I ask Siri to change music, it would try to change music inside Apple Music, not Spotify. And it never worked with Spotify. Apple is pretty restrictive. So because of that, I had to ditch Spotify and move to Apple Music. And it only made sense because it would give me exposure to Apple Music. And I thought it's always good to like experience new things. And for a good 2-3 months, I was using both Spotify and Apple Music, but I thought it's now time to ditch Spotify because it's money wasted, because what's the point of having two music apps? So I started using this, and I was using Spotify and this as a student version. When I was in Spotify, Australia didn't have student version supported. Like, you wouldn't get student discounts on Spotify, so you would have to pay $12. But as soon as I was about to ditch Spotify to go to Apple Music, which supported student discount, Spotify decided to launch student discount here in Australia. So after I quit, student discount on Spotify was introduced. But luckily, Apple Music had student discount, so I paid no more than $6 a month for it, and started using this so that every time I said to Siri to change music, it would change the music. And if I asked to play a certain music, it would play. So that's the reason I jumped to Apple Music, but then I switched to something else, which I'll explain later. Health app comes with the iPhone. It's a pretty good app. It tracks your steps. And if you are also like an Apple Watch user, it tracks your heartbeat as well. Everything is here. It's a pretty good app. Gym exercises. Well, basically, if you have a home gym, don't want to hire a personal instructor, or even if you are in a physical like a gym and don't want to use a personal instructor and don't have time to view YouTube and do the exercise, what you can do is you can click onto this app and select which body part that you want to do. Next is the Photos app. So coming to Photos, it's a stock app that comes with your iPhone. It stores all your photos, and if you have the iCloud library turned on in this thing, then it backs it up with all your other iOS devices and stores it all in one space. So whatever photos here, if you have an iPad, you can access it there as well. Chrome is a browser app. Everyone knows about it, but I don't necessarily use this on my phone. I only have this because sometimes some certain sites, if I'm watching a movie online, like not the proper way, then I can use this to open the video up and watch it, because sometimes Safari doesn't support it. So it's pretty good. I feel Safari is still better for me on the iPhone, but sometimes when watching movies, this is better. Google Home, well, basically with this app, you can control your assistant and the Google devices that you have. It's pretty good. Google, it's the search app that you have for iPhone. Google Photos, I don't necessarily use this. The only reason I have this here is because every photos that I take from my iPhone and every other photos that I've transferred on my iPhone, it's always backed up here. So if I lose my phone, or if I destroy my phone for some reason, God forbid, I can always be safe that all of my photos are backed up here in Google Photos, so I don't have to worry about anything. It's a Google Drive. I don't use it, but sometimes when someone sends me assessment or some raw images, raw photos, and they're too big a size for Gmail, they get sent with the Google Drive link. So to access that, I have this. Gmail is my primary app for accessing mail, to replying, and well, this is pretty convenient for me rather than using the Apple Mail. Calendar, I love the iOS calendar app. I think it's too convenient for me than the Google Calendar. I've used Google Calendar. I couldn't get used to it. I tried, but this is really convenient for me. Tile is the app to keep tracks of your wallet or keys wherever you have the Tile attached to. I use this to find my keys because I tend to lose my keys a lot, and sometimes even if I put it right in front of me, I can't recall where I put it. So with this, I can always, if I walk too far away from my key, it sends me a notification that I walked too far. Or if I lost it, I can go into the app and press find, and it would make the key ring because I have the Tile attached to it, and I can find it easily. Philips Hue app, it's basically to control the Philips light bulbs. You don't necessarily need to go into this app to control your light bulb. If you have it like connected to the Apple HomeKit, you can use it as well. But this helps me control the light, the brightness, the hueness, everything. ESPN Fantasy, this is the fantasy football or like fantasy gaming thing. I thought I would get into it, but I never gotten used to it, so it's there. I've never used it, but maybe one day I'll get into it. Flybys, it's like a point collector, so it works with Kohl's gas station, Target, so you can collect points with this. The one good thing about Flybys is that if you have enough points, you can use this as the eBay voucher, and you can get some discounts or some dollars off it. Next app is the Gas Buddy. The Gas Buddy helps you keep track of cheaper gas prices in your area. So if you want to fuel up your car, but you want to find a cheaper fuel place near your area, you can use this to know where it's cheaper, and you can go there. eBay, I don't have to say anything about this. It's a pretty popular app. Amazon, same thing. Don't have to say anything about this because everyone knows about this. eBay and Amazon are kind of similar. It's the Authenticator. It's a Google Authenticator app. So what you can do is you can put email here, and then it would place a code that regenerates every single time. And every time you log in, you don't have to verify yourself from some other app. What you can do is just basically copy and paste the code that's here, and then use it as a two-factor authentication. Next is the orange part of the apps. The first is Oz Bargains. So if you want some discounts on any products, or if you want to know if they're on special or not, before going to the actual website, go in here, type the product that you want. For example, if you want an iPhone XS Max, and then you want to see if it's on special or if there's some dollars off of it on any site, then what you do is you go in here, type the a device that you want, be as more specific as you can, maybe the iPhone XS Max, the 512 gig, go in, and it would tell you if it's on special or not on some sites. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good to save your money as well. The iTunes U, I've never used this. It comes in stock with your iPhone. I've never used this, so I don't know much about it. The other is GarageBand. I don't use this as well. And Books, it's an iPhone app as well. Tips is also the iPhone app. Pages is also the iPhone app. I don't use all of this. In regards to Tips, it basically tells you how to use your iPhone, how to use your new software. That's pretty much it. The other is SoundCloud. When coming to the SoundCloud, it's a pretty good app. I used to be a big SoundCloud user because this has a lot of the artists who are still trying to make their way into the big leagues, and they've got some real good music. So if you want to discover some good artists, want to listen to their raw art, then this is a really good app. TripView, basically if you're traveling in Sydney or Melbourne, you can use this because it keeps track of the train line, and you can see when your train is coming. If you want to go to the city, if you live far away from the city, basically this is a really good app to keep track of when your train is coming and when you can leave your house to catch that train. It's the Home app that comes in with your iPhone. It's basically an Apple HomeKit. I never use this because I don't use any Apple HomeKit system. What I do is basically use my Google Assistant to control my light bulbs and everything, and usually ask Siri to do that as well, but I never set anything up inside the Apple Home. Google Play Music. So as I said, I used to be a big Spotify user when I was an Android user, and then I switched to Apple Music after I started to use an iPhone, and then I thought that why would I pay Apple Music and then pay YouTube as well, because I don't like the YouTube ads, and I thought it only made sense to pay for the premium membership. So I thought like paying $6 for Apple Music and $12 for YouTube Red, I'm paying like $18, almost $20 for the whole thing. So I would rather save the $6 and just pay YouTube, because if I paid for YouTube Red, I was getting the Google Play Music for free. I was getting the YouTube Music for free. And YouTube Music and Google Play Music are really good music apps as well. I don't find it as good as Spotify or even Apple Music, but at least it gives me the ability to listen to any music that I want. It also gives me the ability to save money. The next app is the Face app. This was pretty hyped up app. Basically, it turns your photo old or young, so I just wanted to try it, so I had it. And basically, like, I have a habit of like never deleting an app, so it's just stayed there. Next, we come to the blue part. The first app here is Telstra 24/7. I have this app because I'm a Telstra user. I've got this iPhone XS Max on a plan with Telstra. They're a pretty good network and have a really good connection, so that's why I'm with them. The second app is Waze. It's a pretty good navigation app. More than Google Maps, I rely on this because it helps me avoid traffic. Well, Google Maps does that too, but the one thing this does that Google Maps doesn't do is tell you where the cops are. And it's not smart enough to detect where cops are itself. What happens is a lot of the user, if they see cops, they report it in the app, and then when someone's traveling through there, they see a cop, the other one verifies it as well, and so on and so on. It's pretty good, pretty convenient, has saved me a lot of tickets, so I really like this ritual. I don't use this app a lot, but the only reason I have this here is because I wanted to try it, because one of the coffee shops near my workplace had ritual app, so I wanted to try it. So basically what it lets you do is, before even going to the shop, you can place an order, and the person actually starts to make your order, and when it's ready, you can just go and pick it up. You can also make payment from this. I haven't used it, but this is how it's supposed to work. FluentU is a language learning app. I wanted to learn Spanish and Japanese, but then I didn't have time, so I haven't even opened this. But I heard it's a pretty good app to start learning new languages. The next app here is Car Sales. Well, as the name says, it sells cars. And if you want cars used or new, you can go in here and like get pretty sweet deal as well. And you can look at the photos that the user has posted and even request them to view the car in person. It's a pretty good app. The next is Test Flight. It's an app that lets you try the beta versions of other apps. So sometimes you get requests to try a beta version of some apps before it gets launched or pushed, so you can test the new features before it's pushed to everyone. DJI Go 4 is basically the drone app. My Bupa, it's like a health insurance app. I'm with them, so if I want to claim some bills, well, just get some discounts, what I do is take the photo of the receipt and claim it from here. PayPal, well, I don't have to tell much about this. It's a pretty popular app. Same goes with Twitter and Facebook. The other app is Citibank Australia. The Citibank Australia app is because it's like my secondary app, secondary banking app. As I said before, I have like multiple bank accounts, so I use this sometimes to transfer money from here to my main bank account. This is like my savings account, so rather than putting my savings money in the one different account of the same app, I have a complete different bank account. Keynote is like the presentation app, something similar to Microsoft PowerPoint. So I never used this, but it's a stock app. I don't want to delete it. Next is App Store. It's basically you go in, search app, download it. The next is the Mail app. I never use the stock Mail app that comes in the iPhone because I don't find it that innovative. It's like I think it's crap, so I don't use it. Next is Weather app. It basically tells you what the weather is. I have never gone inside the application because if I want to ask the weather, I usually ask Siri what's the weather, and Siri tells me anyways. The next is LinkedIn. After graduating, me and my friends wanted to find jobs. So what we did was create profiles inside LinkedIn so that we could like get in touch with people who were hiring. It's a social media for business conglomerate people. The next is the Happen app. It's a dating app. When it first came out, I wanted to try it and it stayed there. What I usually do is I try every app that gets some kind of hype. I install it, use it, and every time I change phones, I always copy the apps that was on my old phone. So I'm installing apps, but never deleting it. So that's why it's here. I've never tried it ever since it came out. I tried it once when it came out, didn't find it that good, so stopped using it. Messenger is a messaging app for Facebook. Shazam, it's a good way to know what music is playing. So rather than Googling all the lyrics online, what you can do is if a music is playing, you don't know what it is, open the app, hit Shazam, and then it will tell you what music is playing. Files is a stock app that comes with the iPhone as well. It keeps all your files, documents stored here. It's also inside Mac, like all the iPad, so you can use this and it links up all together if you've hooked it up to iCloud. Word is a Microsoft app. You can like type your documents, edit here. I don't recommend it because iPhone is a smaller screen. You would be better off doing that on your iPad or your MacBook or any other laptop. Facebook ads, it's a app that helps you keep track of your ads that's running. So if you are creating an ad on Instagram as well, what happens is you can't do that unless you have a Facebook page. And to launch an ad on Instagram, you need to have a Facebook page, and every time you launch an ad, it helps you keep track of that ad inside of the Facebook ads. So I know it's weird, but this is how it works. The other one is Google Calendar. As I said before, I mainly use the iPhone's calendar app, the stock one, but the only reason I have this here is because my work, they keep all their meetings and everything organized in here, all the events. So I've got the Google Calendar linked to my Apple Calendar, so that's why I have it here, just for work purposes. I don't delete it. I could because it's already linked in my Apple Calendar anyways, but just for work purposes, I've kept it here. The next is the ANZ Bank app. It's my primary bank, so all the income and everything I get, it's here. But what I do is I transfer to the Citibank app just for personal preference. Apple Store, basically this comes stock in your iPhone when you buy it. So if you ever want to buy an iPhone but don't want to stay in line, this is a quicker way to do it when an iPhone is released. The Google Translate app, it's a good translating app, but it's not as good as the Microsoft Translate, because the one thing this is very bad at is the voice translator. So it has the feature to translate your voice and say it out loud to the person who's listening in some different language, but what it does, it's very poor in regards to that. You're better off with the Microsoft Translator app. But if you're typing it, it's pretty good as well. It's pretty accurate. It's not 100%, but at least it's going to get you started if you're stranded somewhere. Garmin Connect. So this is a Garmin app. What it does is it keeps track of your steps, track of your heart rate. It also sleep tracks. And the one good thing about Garmin is if you have Garmin watch and if you have it connected, what it does is it sends all your heart tracking, steps tracking, and also your sleep tracking to your iOS health app. So even Apple Watch doesn't have the ability to track sleep, but Garmin does. And if you have a Garmin linked to your iPhone, your Garmin tracks your sleep, and then it sends to your iOS Health app. So it's pretty good. So Garmin is really accurate in sleep and your steps and your heartbeat. So it's a pretty good app, pretty good wearable in terms of accuracy. It's better than iPhone. No wonder Garmin's cost a lot. Next, we come to the red section. The first app here is the Store Card. The Store Card app is a loyalty card where you can store all your loyalty cards and use it. So one app, you can store as many cards as you want and use it. Livin is basically similar to the Presso Tea. It's similar because it lets you make payment for tea purchases. It also lets you select what kind of tea you want. It's pretty good. I never used it, but I heard it's pretty good. Tinder is similar to Happen. I think Tinder was the first and then Happen came. Never used it after when it first came out. It was pretty good. The hype was pretty big. That's why I downloaded it and started using it. The user interface has been, I heard it's pretty friendly now. It's developed quite a lot. Airbnb is the other app. It's pretty good app to find a place to stay when you're traveling and such. And I heard that it's cheaper compared to other competitors. I've used this when I was traveling to Melbourne, and I've also used this to traveling to different parts of New South Wales here. It's pretty good. I like it. InShot is the app that helps me keep the grid of my Instagram pretty consistent, because sometimes I upload on horizontal and vertical, so it helps me keep it intact and keep it consistent. Beamit is a pretty good app, and I use it almost on a daily basis, because if I'm sending money to someone who's on a different bank account, or if I'm sending money to someone who I've never sent the money to, if I send it to them through this sends money instantly, because usually when you're sending money to a new bank account or someone of a different bank account, you would have to wait 2 to 3 business days for the money to show up on their account. But with this, it appears instantly. The only thing is they would have to download this app and set it and hook it up to their bank account as well. But if they want the money quickly, they would need to do this, and it's pretty convenient as well. I really love it and I highly recommend it as well. 6-pack in 30 days. Well, the name is 6-pack in 30 days, but if you really want it, you need to follow it to the dot. It's pretty good. It helps you with a routine of exercises that targets belly fat. Ghana, it's like a Indian, like a Bollywood kind of music app. It's pretty good if you like Bollywood music. The only reason I have this here is because I have unlimited data on my phone, and while traveling, my sister loves listening to Bollywood music, and having unlimited data, I don't have to worry about my data running out. So she likes to listen to music with the Ghana app. So I have my phone hooked up to her car, and then she uses this to listen. Creative Cloud, it's an Adobe application. I haven't opened it. I just had it here so that it gives me access to my Adobe account, like Lightroom and Photoshop, which I have apps installed on other pages. So the next is Australian Post. It helps you keep track of the parcel that you have coming, so that's good. ExpressVPN, it's a VPN. Like every time I want to access content from a different country, I use this. Coles Mobile Wallet, it's a credit card app that lets you keep track of the money. Eventbrite, so this is a good app to have all your events tickets organized here. So if you have any events you want to buy tickets, you can go to this app and look for that event, buy it, and it will send you a ticket in a Apple Wallet form, so you can have it inside your Apple Wallet and double click, have your Face ID verified, and use it. Fender Tune, it's basically to tune my guitars. I rarely use it because I can tune it just by listening to it, but sometimes if I want to get it that accurate, I use this. Netflix, everyone knows about Netflix. TikTok, it's basically Musical.ly renamed to TikTok. And Activity comes in stock. Basically, if you have an iPhone, and if you have it hooked up to your Apple Watch, you can use this to keep track of all the goals that you set to close it. Next is the Canon Camera Connect. I used to use this, but then I realized it doesn't download the raw images to the phone, so I stopped using it. And as I said before, what I don't do is I install the app, but I don't delete it, and every time I change phone, I copy all the apps, so that's why it's still here. The next is Pinterest. I use this to come up with creative ideas for photography, so because they have a lot of talented users here posting pictures and stuff, and it keeps track of all the similar pictures, so I use this just to get new ideas on photography. YouTube, everyone knows about YouTube Studio. Well, this is basically, if you upload on YouTube, you can keep track with this, like how many views it's gotten and so on. PowerPoint, it's a presentation app, like it's a Microsoft app that you can use it for a presentation to edit your slides and stuff. The only reason I have this here is the same reason I have Excel and Microsoft Word. It's because for university purposes, sometimes when I don't carry my laptop, if I want to send my work to my friends or my teachers, I use this. Go in here, open the assessment, and then send it. Fast is basically helps you keep track of your internet speed. It's similar to Speed Test, but we'll come to that later. It's a pretty good app. The next is Google Plus. I used it when I was working in Woolworths because sometimes the work needed to be photographed and put to the Google Plus for all the other managers to see. So that's the reason why I have this here. News is a news app that comes with the iPhone. You can keep track of like the Sydney Morning Herald or whatever newspapers that you like to read. You can all keep track of it here. Reddit. Everyone knows of Reddit. It's a pretty good app. YouTube Music, as I said before, it comes with YouTube Red. You don't have to pay extra. It lets you listen to music and watch the video at the same time. So if you hit the songs, it plays audio. If you hit video, it play video of the song. It's a pretty good app. Next, we come to the darker shade app, Gumtree. Gumtree is used to get good deals on some of the products that they're trying to sell online. Meshed Mobility. I used this when I was in university to keep track of the timetables and to see which class I was supposed to be in. Giphy, well, everyone knows Giphy. If you want to have GIFs, this is what you have. You can type in and like have some certain GIFs, copy it and send it to people. GoPro, this is a GoPro app so if you have a GoPro hooked up, it acts like a remote control. You can take pictures from here. You can stop and start recording from here. You can change the angle. Pretty good. Speed Test. This is the Speed Test I was talking about before. It helps you track the network speed, whether it be LTE or whether it be a Wi-Fi. It's pretty good. I rely on this more than I rely on the Fast. So it's pretty accurate and it's pretty good. I always rely on this every time I'm somewhere new and I want to test this internet speed before I consume some YouTube or Netflix. I test the speed first because I don't want it to buffer or have it played in a lower quality. Cam Scanner, it's a pretty good scanning app. So if you have some PDFs or a document that you want to scan and send it, rather than going to a print shop and doing it, you can do it from your phone. It's a pretty good quality as well. And a lot of the places it's accepted. Uber Eats, well, as Uber, this is similar, but it delivers food to your place. So you can order food from anywhere that supports Uber Eats, and you can actually have it delivered to your place. It's fairly quick. Uber, it's basically, as I said before, it's a driving app. So if you want to go somewhere, but you don't want to catch a train, you can use Uber to call a driver, and then they will pick you up and drop you to your station. Stocks is a stock app, the irony, that comes with your iPhone. Clock is also, I don't have to say much about this. Voice Memos, it's a voice capturing app that comes in stock. Measure, you can measure like... it's pretty accurate. It's like a scale that comes in stock with your iPhone. You can measure the length, height of this, of anything with this. TV app, well, if you have Apple TV, you can use this to control it. Compass, it's basically to see the directions. If you're good at reading compass, then it's good for you. LD, it's a link distortion app. So if you have photos after editing, you can put some snow in it or stars in it. It's a pretty good app. You can try it. Nebufilm, it's also a photo editing app. I saw Alan Palander using it. That's why I started to play with it, but I didn't like it that much. But as I said before, I don't delete it, so it's still there. The Watch app, it's Apple Watch app. So basically, you can customize your Apple Watch with this. 500px, it's a app where a lot of the photographers post their work, and it's pretty good. It's a photography community. Photoshop Express, it's a pretty good app if you want to edit photos on mobile, so you can use this, but I rarely use this because I mostly use the next app, which is Lightroom. Lightroom, I've got the custom presets that I create to edit photos and stuff, so every time I take photos of my Canon, what I do is I send the raw images to my iPhone. I edit it here. Mostly I rely on my iPad to do it because it gives a bigger picture and I can edit in more detail. But if I'm on the train and don't have access to my iPad, this is where I edit. Coming to the next, I've got Slack. The reason I have Slack on my phone is because, as I said before, I work as a business analyst and we use Slack to communicate with our teams. So if I'm away on lunch break or if I'm away on a sick day like today, so what happens is all the team communication happens here, and if I need to jump on in, I can easily do that from here. Notes is a stock app that comes with iPhone. It's pretty good. What I do is usually if I have some ideas or some notes that I want to keep here, I just type it in. IKEA Place, it's like a AI app, so like artificial intelligence app. So if you want to have a look at some products before actually buying it, what you can do is you can tap into the product and place it using the AR that's supported by your iPhone, and you can lay it out around your house and see how it will look, and then you can make a purchase buying it. Combank, I used to be a big Combank user, but after some incidents, I stopped using it, but I never deleted this. As I said before, I never delete apps, so it's still there. Tap Measure, I've never used this. I think it's supposed to measure stuff, but I have never used it, so it's still there. Bumble, it's like a dating app. It's similar to Happen and Tinder, but I think it's much more decent because Tinder and Happen, I think they've fallen into the deep dark. It's like inappropriate now. But Bumble, when it came out, I tested it. It's pretty decent compared to both of them. Snapchat, everyone knows Snapchat. It's a pretty good app. Settings is setting apps, comes with the iPhone. Visco app, it's a photo editing app. I don't use it. I wanted to test it out, used it once. Didn't think it didn't catch me that much, so I didn't use it. So I haven't deleted it as well. Unfold is a pretty good app if you want to create Instagram stories. You can add like really book kind of vibe to it. So it's pretty good. You could just download this app and like play around for yourself and see it. Breezometer, it's basically air pollutant app, so you can see how much pollution is in the air. So if you're traveling somewhere, you can go to this app, type the city, and you can see if the air is breathable or if you need a mask or something. It's a pretty good app if you're a traveler. Wallet app, it's basically it's an iPhone, so you can all the Apple Pay supported wallet cards that you can hook it up here. Contacts is basically a contacts app. All your contacts are here. Camera app and calculator, don't have to explain too much. It's self-explanatory. Coming down to the next, it's iMovie. So if you have any videos you want to edit here, you can use this and you can like share it. Layout, it's an Instagram app. So if you want to customize the photos, like set it up as a collage or something, you can use this to do that. The Jeds, it's a wallpaper app. It's got pretty good wallpaper, and if you're a subscribe member, you get access to a lot of the good wallpapers as well. iTunes Store, I've never opened it, never had to open it because I never buy music, I just stream it. Feedback, since I'm on the beta profile, I have this feedback app. So if I think the app is not functioning or something is wrong, I just report it with this. OneNote is a Microsoft app. It's basically a note capturing thing. Night Sky, with this, you can see the stars alignment in the night. You can see what's what and what they're called. Podcast app, it's an Apple app which comes in stock. You can listen to podcasts with this. Instagram, well, I don't have to say much about this. This is a pretty good app. Still a lot of hype around it. Fuel Check, New South Wales. It's a New South Wales Fuel Check app. You can use this, which is also pretty accurate, similar to Gas Buddy. Gas Buddy is like international, and you can set your region as Australia and do it. But Fuel Check, New South Wales, it's New South Wales specific. You can, I think, alter the location. I've never used this, but it's pretty good to see which place has a cheaper fuel, and you can go there and fill it. Clips, it's an iPhone app. I've never used this. Never had to because most of the edits I do are on Final Cut Pro, so I never edit videos on my phone. Yahoo Fantasy, it's a fantasy league app. Never used it, as I said before. Wanted to get myself in, but never had time. LifeX, since I got some of the LifeX bulbs along with the Philips Hue, this is the app I use to control the lights, but I don't have to because I can ask my Google Assistants or Siri to do it. So that's that. Viber, it's like a social media app. Some of my family, they use Viber to communicate because my family is like spread around. So this is what we use to do free calls over Wi-Fi. Planet Fitness Australia, Planet Fitness, this is a gym app, so I have this. I used to be a member, still am, haven't gone for so long. Dropbox, I have this here because some of my friends used to send me their assessment, which used to be too big for email, via the Dropbox, so I still have it here. Shortcuts, it's a new app that comes with your iOS 13. It basically lets you create shortcuts, and you can just ask Siri and say that shortcut, and it'll function. Like if you say I'm home and want that I'm home to trigger access to turn on the lights, play music or something in your home, it'll work that way, but you need to have like some smart device hooked up to it. Tumblr, it's a pretty straightforward app. It's a pretty old app, but still pretty big hype. A lot of users use it. So that's all I have on my phone. And on the bottom, I've got the phone app. I've got Safari, I've got Messages, and I've got the Google Assistant. I've got the Google Assistant here because I'm a pretty big Google Assistant fan. Even though I'm a iPhone user, I think Google Assistant is leaps and bounds ahead of Siri. So that's why I use it. That's pretty much it. That's all I have on my phone.